Hello, everyone. Hey, Jose Luis. Hey, Roser. We are here one more time every 2 weeks to talk about .NET, AI, and more. And I'm super happy because this one literally came from requests from the two previous edition, where a lot of people ask, can we talk a little about open source large language model, how we can use them, what are the options, and more. So this is why we are here today. I'm super happy because I'm Jose Luis and Roser join me. My name is Bruno Capuano. I'm part of the .NET Cloud Advocate team. And now I'm going to ask Jose Luis and Roger to introduce themselves. Jose Luis, do you want to introduce yourself, please?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, perfect.
Perfect.
So I'm Jose Luis, as Bruno said. You can call me Jose. We are old friends of the .NET community with Bruno in Spain. And now I'm in Zurich. I'm a software architect. I work with community. I lead a user group. I'm an MVP focusing early in AI with Semantic Kernel. I think Roger and his team knows me a bit. I wear today this special T-shirt. So yeah, that's about me. Also, I'm finished a course on Semantic Kernel recently. So, but it's not yet published. So I'm not sure the link, but yeah, will be open in the next weeks. So, and I love Semantic Kernel and what's going on at Microsoft. Roger.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, hello everyone. I'm Roger Barreto. I've working over 24 years in IT industry, contributed to a diverse range of companies and projects, each enriching my experience in unique ways, basically. I've been working on Semantic Kernel core team since beginning and been contributing into many different features there currently available. My current main feature targets now are for AI connectors and multi-modalities features. So that's my current work and focus for the moment. And my interests normally are more like in exploring the future potentials that AI can bring into our world and anything that is related to that. I really like to talk about those things, about emerging technologies and stuff. So yeah, thanks for having me. And I'm looking forward to engaging in conversation. Thanks.
Yes, same here. And hey, it's kind of a nice time to talk about this because we talk a lot about models, open source models, and more. We were lucky that yesterday, let me share my screen. Yesterday, we at Microsoft, we share a new version of Pi 3. And hey, now it's available in Azure Marketplace, in Hugging Face, in Olam, and more. But for what I wanted to start today talking is basically this concept. Okay, how do we do the basic AI stuff when we access to a model? So this is my hello world accessing a model. I have here a super simple. Let me know if the screen size and the font size is fine. I also see some people saying hi from Italy, Ireland. Luis is also here. So that's kind of amazing. And hey, the whole idea here is that I want to open this project. This is a standard C# project. I have installed a couple of packages here, Semantic Kernel, literally the new version 1.9, also some secrets to access the stuff. And hey, what I'm going to do is I want to basically start to write my Semantic Kernel code. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to import a couple of usings, extension configuration, Semantic Kernel, and chat completions. Then I'm going to create a kernel. This is just the hello world. And this is a builder with an AI chat completion using a model that I have in Azure OpenAI, GPT from 3.5, yes, with an endpoint and an IP key. And then literally, let's do a small demo, which is let's invoke a prompt, which is let's write a joke about kittens. So that's basically it. That's what we can do in the Semantic Kernel code. And if I run this, let's do a .NET build first. I am in the right one, yes. And if you run this, we are going to have a super simple, very bad joke about kittens. So it's going to take some time. As I said, it's a new project, empty console project. But what I like is that after a couple of seconds, when we run this, And when we use this, we can easily change and let me do my .NET run here. We can easily change the targets here. It's not target, but we can change here to, okay, now you are using Azure OpenAI in the cloud. How about if I want to use a local model? How about if I want to use, oh, by the way, this is the joke here. Why was the kitten always so calm and collected? Because it has personality in checks. Okay, yes, sorry about the jokes. We can do better. But what I like about this is, okay, with the little changes here, and there are major changes here, what
I think you're muted, Bruno, probably.
Yes, I lost
my microphone.
your voice.
Oh, my microphone.
Yeah,
Okay,
we
back.
lost. I think we lost 30 seconds of your explanation there.
Hey,
Yes.
no problem. Yes, what I was explaining is that I created a HTTP message handler that basically override in an HTTP client handler the send async method and fix the URI. If you are using OpenAI.com or OpenAI.azure.com, it's going to go back to yours. So the whole idea right now is that, hey, if we want to talk with a custom HTTP client, what I can do here, and I'm going to use that client. Let me fix the usings here. There it is. And then what I have is create a kernel that I'm going to use a model, use it locally here. And what I have here locally to show this, it's basically, I have Olama installed I have Ubuntu in Windows Subsystem for Linux, and I have Olama here, and I have 3 models here. I have Llama 3, Pi 3, and Lava to work with images. So let's change here Llama 3, and let's clean this. And in the bottom here, I have the journal of requests that I have for my service. So if I run this again, and I go back here, we are going to see in the bottom the request. While this is working because the model is local, and it takes some time, Roger literally was talking and sharing with me that, hey, in the latest version of Semantic Kernel, we can even do there it is. You can see the calls in the bottom, is loading the model, refreshing the model, and basically after a couple of seconds, I am going to have the response. But right now, it's even easier. You don't have to create your custom HTTP message handler. You can just put your URL there if you're using the OpenAI chat completion and use that. That's correct?
Exactly. So we now have a new parameter. Currently, this method is experimental, like the other new things that we introduced to Semantic Kernel. But literally, you can just provide the endpoint to the constructor or to the extension method in the kernel builder, and that's it. You can use right away.
Yes, and I love it. Hey, for some crazy whatever model, it's stop here. Let's stop this one. And I like that I also have installed here Pi 3. So let's run this with Pi 3 because it's a super nice model, and it's also supporting the Olama, the OpenAI specification. So let's go back here. We are going to see the new jokes. And by the way, to show you that I have the Olama run Pi 3, that I have the model installed locally, we are going to see here in the top how it's working. And I may miss something here in the demo, but trust me, this is working. But what I like is that, hey, with minor changes in the code that we have, we can switch from cloud to local models. That's correct?
Yep, I would say so. I mean,
okay, now it finished to load in the model.
You can switch to local. Also, this one, you have it running in a container or in your computer directly?
Oh, I already have it while this one is loading. It's going to take some time, but I also have this running just for fun. Okay, there is the joke here. Oh, this is nice. I have a joke. Why did the kitten bring a calculator to school? Whatever. Explain the joke. It's kind of nice. I like it. It's a combined wordplay with humor related to young people. It's kind of a nice one to use. And as far as I understand, basically what you told me, Roger, I can even do this in an easier way. I can even go here and do something like this. Let me find the code to do this. I have copy and
just provide.
I copy
the endpoint. So, there you go.
Yeah, so I am not going to use the custom HTTP client. What I am going to do is I am going to provide the endpoint. I need to provide the IP key. I can't remember. We can test about. I have a couple of warnings disabled here because, as you mentioned, it's experimental. But I really like it. This means that I can use this and basically just provide here an endpoint, and it's going to switch directly to use my local Llama 3 model, Pi3 model, or whatever. That's correct?
That's correct.
So let me, as I said, let me go here on Pi3, and let's do a .NET run one more time. We should see here in the request, somewhere the request in the bottom right, and hey, literally one line of code, and I can switch from my model on the cloud or using APIs from OpenAI, or using the Azure OpenAI services to local models, which I really, really like, by the way. There it is. Why do kittens? And again, I like this. This is something new from Pi3, that is give you the kind of after a joke, it gives you some warning. This is a joke. Be careful about this and that. Hey, this is the advantages of working with local models. I really, really like it.
It's cool. Super cool.
That, hey, I also have I have a Raspberry Pi 5. This is my device working here. Oh. This is small device working here, which of course is a Debian. Oh, it's not the name. I think this is the number 2. I was testing. Yes, this is the number 2. The password is password. And this is, again, a remote device. I think I have here the NeoFetch. If you want to take a look at the device, this is the device. So it has a Debian operating system. It's a Raspberry Pi 5. Super small. It's been up and running 60 minutes. It's the small one. It's the small one. So it has 8 gigabytes of memory and more. But what I can do here again is if I do Olama, let me do the journal, and I change here my Pi 3 for my I think it was 02. One more time. Let's go back here, and we should see the request being asked to the Raspberry Pi. It's probably going to take a little longer. I mean, it's a small device, super small device. By the way, it's a small model, which I like. But there it is. It's loading the model first time, so it's getting the model there. After a couple of seconds, we should get the answer. But I really, really like how just changing the URL, I can switch between one provider to another, and I start to use this. And this is something which basically is provided by Semantic Kernel in a nice way, because I see Semantic Kernel as a layer on top of these kind of things. And I can later start to do more advanced things like do my native functions, use my, I don't know, create some kind of planner and start to think about agents and more. But hey, I like it. And by the way, still working. We should get a joke from the Raspberry Pi at any moment.
Yeah, and one thing that I can add another thing as well, that in this example, you are shifting the name of the model, but Semantic Kernel allows you to add multiple connectors in which you can select which one you want to execute in the sentence. So you can do that dynamically in your program, or you can really just set one connector and use one configuration at a time. So this can be useful for many situation scenarios as well.
Okay, that's amazing. And by the way, when we were chatting before, we have the sense like these changes are happening fast, very fast, but they are in the direction to basically help us because, okay, we have the joke here. By the way, I want to say one more time, sorry about the jokes generated with large language models. They are not very good, but it makes sense. And again, this all came from this very, very small and simple device that has everything installed here. And I like this idea to have this. And I also want to learn more about what you mentioned, that I added my model name here. Yes, I have my host here, but I can do more here. As you mentioned, I can start to get kind of a query of the models and start to work there.
Bruno, what device is this Raspberry Pi? I think it's really cool, and I really want to try that one.
Yes, I mean, it's a very popular one. I have all around my house Raspberry Pis. I did a lot of stuff with them, and now that we can run those models there, I think it's a nice entry point to start to see, okay, what else we can do, how we can do this, because yes, the next step here will be to change this to use an in example, if we want to host this model is also available in Azure OpenAI. I'm sorry, in Azure AI, in AI Azure Studio, an example, and we can host the model there. And I'm guessing that just changing the endpoint and a couple of things, we can switch there. So we forgot where the model is. We focus on use the model, and we need to scale. We can scale later. And I like that part. Oh my God, there are so many questions. I am going to check the question now. I don't know. Roger, Jose Luis, do you want to share something here? I just want to give a 10-15 minute overview of how using Semantic Kernel, it's super easy.
No, for me, I think it's cool.
To
also,
go for your local models.
For me, it's pretty cool.
Yes,
I don't
Jose Luis,
know how big is the model that you can fit in a Raspberry Pi. That is why I was asking the model, right? So probably you will need some RAM in there to put 1 or 2 gigabyte there for the smallest models to load them all in memory. So that's pretty cool. But also it's the inference time, because usually if you put that in a small device, you really want a high speed or high inference, right? So
yeah, one thing that I think it worth also mentioning here is that this is also possible because the chat completion is a standard that OpenAI introduced, and all of those local providers are following. So they have a contract, so we can use multiple endpoints, and the same connector can work because other providers are kind of mimicking how is the standard from OpenAI. So if you have any type of other provider like local AI, like LM Studio, or any other local provider for local models, this connector will work as well.
You would have a lot of work
great,
to do.
and that's good to know, because yes, and what I like about that as a concept is that if we have kind of a standard, what you just mentioned, it's easy to do this. Otherwise, I have other models, and I write this in the past. You need to create your own wrapper for each one of these, and it takes some time. But right now, it's easy to do this. If you all agree, we can take a look at some of the question. So let's see here. Yes. Personality joke. Sorry about that. This is what we get when we use large language models, lost the audio. Will the source code for these samples available somewhere? Yes, I am going to share the list that we are using at the end with all of the links, and I'm going to share the repo. And in a couple of days, we are going to have a blog post also in one of the Microsoft blogs about this, and we build this and more. But yes, we're going to share in the collection of links is going to be there. Let's see. Eric is asking, you are basically using an API called wrapper to a local AI model server. Yes, I mean it's a wrapper API. Yes, you can see this, and I think it's a good way. If you've been doing this for a while, this is a good way to understand what we have here. Kind of a wrapper. There's much more stuff happening there. As Roger mentioned, we have standards, we have a lot of things happening in the back. But yes, it's kind of a wrapper. but not just to a local. I just show how I am calling this RPI, this Raspberry Pi device, which is in my network, yada, yada, yada. But you can have this hosted in somewhere else and still using this, or at any moment, put here your OpenAI API and switch to the providers, or change here and add and use the Azure OpenAI chat completion and start to use Azure OpenAI services. So it's a wrapper, yes, but it's a little more here and there. I don't know. Do you want to add something, Roger or Jose Luis?
Yeah, sure. Semantic Kernel, as we say, yeah. So Semantic Kernel is a SDK, so it's a tool that you can use for whatever is your intentions with that. And basically, you can use it as a wrapper. One of the biggest benefits, I would say, from Semantic Kernel is that it abstracts all of these complexities specific to each of those providers, in which every code that you write for Semantic Kernel and you want to reuse that code against any of those implementations, can be the public OpenAI, can be a local model that follows chat completion. Your codes won't change if you use a solid code base regarding using Semantic Kernel. So one of the biggest advantages is really what the solution can provide. Semantic Kernel also has many, many, many features. If you go to the GitHub repo, we have there a lot of samples in which you can use filtering, you can use templates in your prompts. So many, many things that you can do there.
Also, this is especially valuable for not only us to play, but for companies, right? So usually you want to run your applications at the lowest cost possible, and this is something that Semantic Kernel makes it possible. So one important thing that Roger said before is you can specify an ID, which is called the service ID. And that defines, so here we can add OpenAI chat completion. We could add another one and another one and another one, as many as you want, identifying everyone with a key. And you could put, for example, a cheap, super cheap model that you run locally for doing tokenization or doing the embeddings, right? And these things are costing a lot of money, but you could do that in local and have your applications do that at zero cost, basically, except keeping your hardware alive. So that's one business use case in this case.
Yes, I like it a lot. By the way, I'm just sharing here. This is the link where you can get all of the stuff that we are talking today. Most of the stuff I'm going to add there, also the repo with the samples. Yes, it's the urllist.com/AI and .NET 03. This is the third episode that we have, and it's kind of nice. Let me take a look also to the other question that we have here. I see a couple of interesting ones. So we have here, how can I make Stallone Odiambo say, how can I make AI access my database in local storage? So my first guess there will be to have use one of the RAG samples that we have created here and there, where you start to see how you can extend the use of a large language model to get more information. Semantic Kernel have amazing memory provider that you can work with memory, and also have some connectors to do Azure AI search and more. I can't remember all of them, but there are several ways to do this. I can't remember if I add any on the list.
Yeah, and
yes,
that is also a very interesting feature about Semantic Kernel that we call the plugins and the functions. So you can abstract the query syntax in a plugin and provide what you want to do in your database in a function, that in a C# function that Semantic Kernel can call and expose to the LLM in an auto call invocation. So you can expose all specific functions that you want to allow the LLM to do in your application, protect that against any type of injection, whatever. You can create plugin for that and expose this plugin to the LLM, and the LLM can do anything with that. That's a very interesting thing. Yep.
That's super cool. And this is in the current package, in the current one, or it's coming?
Yeah, there are examples. Currently, I have even a PR open at the moment using the bookings API. It's not merged yet, but we do have an example with home automation in the demos inside of the .NET samples. If you go there and look for demos, there will be a home automation application there which just give an idea of how you can create a plugin and use that plugin with the LLM to apply, to call those functions. So instead of turning on lights and turning off lights, you can actually do queries or put your functions accessing your local database, relational database, or whatever is the storage technology that you use behind a function that can be called by the AI, basically.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I like it a lot. And hey, by the way, Satya Zuga said that locally running large language model is a bit too much for my PC. Yes, it's not about the models. I'm having tons of issues with USBs and the hub of the USB hub internally having my device. But lucky me, I will probably get a new device anytime soon. So I will start to avoid this because don't know what's happened. But yes, it's maybe too much for my PC with these kind of things.
What are you getting, Bruno? I hear that Macs with M3 really make local models fly.
Not a Mac user here, but maybe I am planning to get something completely different, but that's another conversation that we can have. But yeah, it's nice. And by the way, we just seen you can even use Fair. If you have a device on the way or whatever that you want to use it, you can even run your models there just to test and have more and more there to play around. By the way, Olama, which is the one that I am using, also give you the chance to not just download and run your models. I think bias go there, but if I do Olama run and I add here Llama 2 in example, is going to try to pull the manifest, download the model, and install the model. And you can also fine-tune some of these models internally, locally, which is kind of nice. You can fine-tune the 5.3 and more. So many things to do, so many things to learn there. So for options, there are a couple of options. I know, Jose Luis, that you, instead of using Olama, you were using the other one, which is
LM Studio.
LM Studio.
Yeah, I really like that one. I mean, one of the best things it has is that you can load the full model. Sure. I mean, you're in the middle of the demo, but I can. 1 second. Have to start it. LM Studio. And waiting for it to start. Yes. So going to share my screen. Share screen. All right. Entire screen. Share. You're sharing the audio. Don't want to install the new one. But here, for example, you can search for the models that you have here. For example, Llama 3. I have already some models loaded, so you can do AI chat and load the models, right? And one thing, for example, we can go for the P3, which is small, and it loads the model. And here you have some advanced configuration, which I particularly like. If you go there and you go to hardware settings, and if you are lucky and you have CUDA, right, you have something which is GPU offload, which you can load the full model here. So you could say, oh, I want to load the max, which is not, but I think for a 2 GB model, yeah, 16, or don't want to kill my computer. So if it hangs, you know why it happened, right? And you could then apply that. I think for this to happen, I think I should restart the model. So I should eject and reload it. And then it goes a lot faster. Not that it goes really, really fast. This computer is not that fast, but yeah. What can you tell me about Semantic Kernel? Let's see if he knows what Semantic Kernel is. Okay, I guess we have a bit of an hallucination. But yeah. And here is.
Can you zoom a little
71
so we can read better?
Okay. Yeah. So what I did is I put GPU offload, and I put, I think, 9, 10 gigabyte, which should be enough, and restarted the model. I checked the model and then reload it. And that's it. Then let's see if I can manage to get out of the Zoom. Yes. And the same here for local server. You can, it's already serving. We could use it. I got similar applications here for chat completions that were similar to Bruno, but Bruno used the latest and greatest bits. I still don't have them. But yeah, I got something a bit different. So I was starting to play with the previous versions. I created my own extension, add custom open AI chat completion. Yeah, which simply I enable endpoints. I was not aware of this thing that I think it's you, Roger, added that like a few days ago, right?
Yeah, it was in the 1.8 version. We are in the it was this week. This week was in the Nugget package. Yeah.
Nice. So I added a custom HTTP client using this custom HTTP message handler, which is the proper way to wrap that. So here I'm simply adding the URI, which is simply I'm checking the endpoint and adding v1 chat completions, which is the current version of the API, which all the different models are copying, basically following the lead, which is OpenAI, and then adding them to here. Otherwise, I could use this service I'm injecting, but not from the kernel. So as soon as if I don't do that, everything would fail. So that said, I simply use it. I put here model deployment name, not that I need it. I think Oyama is using that, but LLM Studio is not. So you have to be careful with that. So you should put Gamma 3, but not for LLM Studio. And this is really not needed. And OpenAI endpoint, yeah, it's the one from localhost 2 points, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the rest you know. And if we run this with this custom kernel builder, and I have that here, custom kernel builder, and run it. We probably have to move the screen. Yeah. The world. Yeah. I will continue. In this case, I'm asking what is 2 + 2 - 1, and write me a short poem about wet cats. I think everything today is going about cats. Not a joke, but a poem in this case. So it's equal to 3. Well done. And a short poem about white cats, because my cat is white. White as snow, pure and bright, therefore shines like the morning light. I will not keep reading, but I think it's quite cool. So that's it for me. One thing, and this goes to you, Roger.
Hey, there are a couple of thanks a lot.
Hello? Sorry, Bruno?
Yes. No. Please ask the question.
Okay, yeah. Here, checking the code, I did that, creating a new HTTP client, but this is not a good thing to do. More when you have a lot of HTTP clients, because we should use HTTP client factory or use one static. So I was wondering, how is this working internally, or how can we do that on our own without trying to push everything to resource exhaustion, which is something that happens sometimes?
Yeah, so for this type of construction, we have some examples how you can use HTTP client, and I can link one of those examples. So basically, you add a client to the services factory, and leave to the dependency injection to inject that using the client HTTP factory for yourself. So you can create and define that into the DI container, and let the factory create the client with the configuration that you want, basically. Yep.
That sounds better, because now you're using mostly one or two connections, but I guess in the future, when we go multi-agents, we will be creating connections like non-stop. So we will not just make a query to a single LLM, but we will use many, like a micro framework. I think you were there, or you were part in creating this concept on multi-agents, right? But we will end up creating and adding new agents, everyone with its own kind of kernel, right?
Exactly.
So,
and yes, so for this specific example, this is not necessary, because you can already pass the endpoint that you want, right? But if you really want to customize for a specific endpoint or something that is new there, yes, a specific handler would be very handy for your scenarios, as well as some sort of different resilience strategy that is not expected. Yeah, you can use a HTTP handler for that. Yeah, mostly. But yes, if you want to use your specific HTTP client, the ideal recommendation will be going through the dependency container, injection container. I will link something here that you can answer to the community as well.
That'd be great. Thanks.
Yeah.
So cool one here. I mean, let's go for parts. There is a questions around unit testing from Satya. And let me share the link that it's from literally today, yes? Let me copy here the link. We published an article posted today for this.
Yeah, we got many examples how you can use Semantic Kernel for unit tests, integration tests with it, Semantic Kernel, and using those features and trying to do that, as well as our open source. So the project has many unit tests. We do apply that, more than 600, and you can take a look on that and use some of those ideas and apply to your scenarios as well. Yeah, that's what I can say. The previous question about function calling on local LLMs, I think that's important also.
Yes.
That's a really good one, by the way. And my take is that as the local LLMs start to get even more capable, they will eventually be able to run to be supporting the local function calling. As far as I understand, there are some models already that does that, and we are just adding those capabilities to the connectors. So OpenAI connector has function calling, auto function calling implemented. But other connectors will have that, as we are abstracting all of these concepts in abstraction, so we can use the same concept against all the connectors. So the function calling, once is abstracted away, we can apply that to multiple connectors, even for local functions. So probably you have it in you already have it by default using the OpenAI connector. Yes. But we will have that in Hugging Face as well in other providers as it comes.
So yes, that's a great question, because function calling is super popular, and I haven't even think of doing this locally. So it makes sense, and it seems that it's going to be in the plan anytime soon. And as you mentioned, the models are becoming more and more powerful. In example, I haven't even tried Mistral. They say that is a great one. So I probably need to give it a try, because I also know that I think Mistral also support function callings. So running this locally, it will make sense. So another question, and where is this? Luca asks, how to chat with documents with a local LLM. So we are creating a couple of samples of this. It's going to be available anytime soon. We can even do a session like this in 2 weeks, or add this into we have a set of topics to talk next. But if people are really interested, how they can use a local large language model and create some kind of RAG with the chat of that information in the documents, we can try to find people who can help in that side. Remember that this is a community stand-up. We want to really help the community with your questions and more. So I will add this into the to-do list, into the possible topics, but at the same time, just to give you a heads up that we are working on create some guidance there. And going, I don't know, besides that, Roger, Jose Luis, do you want to say something around using local large language models to do this?
Oh, yes. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, I will just jump in really quick. A good concept that is good to understand is that for this, normally RAG is implemented where you do embeddings. And embeddings is something that is not necessarily associated with the local LLM. So we have some different types of embeddings, and you can do your embeddings locally regarding your documents and use vector search just locally as well to get what is the RAG information that you want to ask for the local LLM at the same time. So you can do that locally for the embeddings, and you can ask locally for the answer for that as well. So yeah, that will be that's important to understand that embeddings and specifically LLMs are not necessarily related. You can do embeddings locally and use that local embeddings to send the RAG information to a remote LLM or even a local LLM as well. So yeah, the RAG concept explains that really well, how those process happens. And yeah, that's what I just want to bring in.
So I'm just going to repeat to see if I get this right. So you said that we can use a local model to create the embeddings, but to create the embeddings to basically store the information in a vector database. But if we want, when we are doing the language part where we have the questions and more, we can switch to a GPT-4 on Azure, in example, to get the power from that one, even if we did the embedding part locally.
Exactly. And also you can
cool.
use that against local models as well. Not necessarily a GPT-4, you can use against a Phi-3 or other local as well.
I'm still sharing. I put an example that does exactly what Roger mentioned and Bruno explained, using the memory builder. This is maybe going to change because I know that you are working in evolving the connectors to memory, but mostly it will have the same shape. So usually you add with OpenAI, the same that you load a model for chat, you add a model for text embedding generation, like add a OO2, and you add a memory store. Here is when you had a concretely connection, which can be to Azure AI, can be to local memory, can be to whatever, and you build it. And then you simply add some chunks after tokenizing them, doing embeddings. And after that, you do this search, which basically you give a relevance score, and it will do a vector search, which is a similarity search, right? Coming search, but don't make me explain how that works because I would need a drawer to explain that, but mostly is for this, I would not recommend do that in local if you have a big document because probably you will need some patience for that. So I would use one in the cloud, right? And also a database server that can ensure a vector database server that can ensure you can use Cosmos, you can use MongoDB in Azure or Azure AI, which does a lot more things for you. It works quite well.
Awesome. And I think the last question that I have here from Eric is, how does Semantic Kernel and the model that is using decided where to run from GPU for CPU, NPU, or whatever? As far as I understand, Semantic Kernel doesn't decide anything. It's, in this case, nice hosting the model, figuring out how to run it.
Exactly.
I can go. I'll just jump really quick on this one. So basically, the infrastructure that supports the model is the one that will decide if it's a CPU, GPU, or NPU, like the LLM Studio, which is running the model, is who decides in those presentations. So Olama will be who decides if it uses a GPU or a CPU. And Semantic Kernel uses from outside those APIs to communicate with them. But you can also, if you want to bring this intelligence to Semantic Kernel, when you create your service, you can provide, you can create a wrap around that service that has an attribute that if you want to define, okay, I'm creating this service with this extra attribute that I can use in the service selector, which is a little bit more advanced topic. We allow you to create a selector that you want to override or add behavior to Semantic Kernel, in which, okay, if this service has the GPU or CPU capability, it will be selected compared to another service. So you can add settings and add properties to your connector service that you can use to decide which one you're going to choose with Semantic Kernel. That's a really good question, and maybe a good example if that's the case as well. Yep. I can't hear you. Probably your microphone is.
I was sorry. I was on mute. Yes, no, I was saying that everything that we were talking on the links and everything is shared in the link. Can you share Can you open the link, Jose Luis, because you are sharing your screen? It's going to be easier there. This is
which link? Okay.
It's in the chat. It's in the internal chat. You can find it.
All right.
StreamYard.
All right. There we go.
So we have here the links for the latest version, Semantic Kernel, unit testing twice. I need to delete one of them, and then we have here at the end the memory sample that you share.
I think these unit testing are two different ones. One is from the devlog Semantic Kernel, and the other is.
Oh no, the other is the Pi 3. Somehow it gets.
Yes, exactly.
I am going to edit that one and make it Pi 3. Yes.
All right.
Okay, and we are almost at the end of the session. I don't know if we have any. Okay, we have a last-minute question from Satya. What kind of AI models can I interface with, or is it chat as of now? I think we can do more. I think I saw, and Roger, keep me honest here, I saw some samples with Hugging Faces and images and more, or this is me thinking crazy of the stuff?
I didn't follow. What?
The question is, what type of interfaces are we supporting right now? Just chat? I know that we have test completion, but images, I think I see some there.
Embeddings as well, right?
Yeah, we do have many different modalities at the moment in Semantic Kernel, and we are adding more as time goes. So we have currently image to text, text to image. So what that means, with an image, you can get a description of the image. So for accessibility scenarios, you can have text to image, which you provide a text and get an image back, something like DALL-E and those type of models that are vision capable. Chat completion, which we are already presented here. We have text generation, which doesn't have the message or the roles, anything like that. You just provide the text and you get a text back without any structure. We do have audio to text as well for transcribing audio, and we have text to audio examples as well. And we are working towards other modalities to add in. Looking forward to get video to text and text to video as well, and other modalities like image OCR to text, something like that. But we are working on bringing all of those different combinations of modalities to Semantic Kernel support. But all of those that I mentioned are already there with different connectors.
Just thinking loud, that's for you, Roger. I really would love to host two local models, one for chat completion and the other text to voice and voice to text, kind of a whisper that I could do a real live inference for talking to my LLM.
Yeah.
When do you think that would be possible using semantic kernel?
Well, as far as I understand, this is already possible. I can double check with you offline. Okay, we can try that.
Sure.
But I think it's already possible. We already provide those interfaces that you can combine those different services together to get what you want. So you can use the audio to text service to get your transcription and use that in a text in a chat completion after, with different connectors and different models, local models even if you want, and have the output that you want in the end.
Yeah, because that is something that needs a really, really low latency, right? So if it's a fast model for text to voice, voice to text, then I could really do that, like handling a conversation like we are doing now.
Exactly.
Cool.
And hey, I think we are ready to the end. Thanks everyone. Sorry for the issues. I need to get a better machine. It's not the first time, but this time it's already there. Thanks for sharing topics for the next sessions. I think Greg is probably going to be part of the next one or the other one because it's a super hot right now. Satya is asking that let's two LLMs talk to each other. Yes, we are going to do that. That's a fun exercise to do. That's a fun, not exercise, that's a fun experiment to do. Yes. And hey, once again, thanks, Roger, and Jose Luis for joining me today. See you in next one, and have a great week, everyone. Goodbye.
Thank you very much. See you.
So